Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Brony Debates Live. I hope you're all doing well out there. We've got a really interesting topic tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Suggested by Mr. Stephen Wolf over here, who's joining us. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing fine. Besides the rainstorm outside my house, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, it is. It's raining pretty dang hard out there. I'm getting that too. We just found out we happen to live in the same town. Hopefully, my power stays on through this whole stream because I saw it
That's
flicker
right.
at my house once or twice. So we're gonna get through as much of this as possible. Hopefully, and the power doesn't go out. Who is probably and then there's Cordero, who's probably out of the way of the storm at the moment. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Ronnie, we have to get this right. We have to make them see we can save the crystal ponies with their misery.
That sounds like something King Zamra would say.
Probably. Yeah, it's not raining over here, but the rain clouds they're nearby.
Yeah, so you're either
They're teasing
safe,
us.
it's either past you or it's coming towards you.
I think it came through us first. It was raining earlier, and when I left the Leesburg area, I was literally running away from the rain clouds.
Oh no. And hopefully we can get through this stream before the tornado rips DJ's house out of the ground and drops him in Oz. How are you doing tonight, DJ?
I'm all right because the storms are leaving me alone. We haven't had a storm here in about a month.
Where
That's
you
pretty
live?
good.
I live in the middle of bum frick nowhere.
Me too.
Out of the Midwest.
Yep.
Oh, so you're
Alrighty
probably
then.
even more nowhere than me.
So, here's what we're talking about: overpowered characters versus Mary Sue's. And in my experience, there tends to be a lot of overlap. So this should be a really interesting conversation. Stephen, what made you want to talk about this tonight? Because this is your suggestion.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about it because, like, as a very, very over consumer of anime and all that stuff,
Mm.
like I tend to see like a lot of animes, or mangas or whatever form of Japanese media you tend to stream or see or look that like deals with like a protagonist, like at least in recent isekai, if people don't know, is basically transported in another world setting, basically having like basically everything handed to him on a silver platter, or having the powers of being a super complete badass. And not once in my in this past few years have I ever see anyone say, oh, that guy is a Mary Sue, oh, that guy is unwatchable. Most people often say they're overpowered, so they're like super strong, super fast, super likable. And I was thinking, wait a minute, why is like this medium gets away with calling characters like those overpowered, but while here in America, at least, when we see an over powerful, super strong, like overly like at least for a female protagonist, they get most of the time they get labeled Mary Sue, you know. So it's
Alrighty
like
then.
that. Hopefully, I
So,
didn't overword that.
yeah, well, that's pretty interesting. We'll get into that in just a second. First, we're gonna shout out the people that support the channel, every one of which we are very grateful for. If you guys would like
You
to
forgot.
I did
You
not
forgot
forget.
and started the talk.
Sort of. I didn't forget nothing. I just did things a little bit out of order. So yeah, if you guys want to get on the show, we'd love to have you. Just support the channel, and we're trying to get it up to 3,000 so I can quit my construction job. And we're very grateful to all the $10 and up supporters, such as Pony Cordero, who's with us, and DJ, who's with us. There's also Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, Rein-Kun, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Kanto Acrylic VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Ridge the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, StarChaser, Venture Core, and Dark Malcontent, producer of Titan Art Studios. So,
Oh,
Steven, what
no,
you're saying?
not
Yeah,
author of the Malcontent series?
it was Metaverse, but yeah, he changed it.
Metaverse.
Yeah, he changed it. So, um, the so what you're saying is Steven, is you're seeing a cultural difference between what we define as a Mary Sue in America versus where if it was from Japan or produced in Japan, they would just say it was overpowered. Is that a good summary of what you said?
More or less, yes. It's like I never once see anyone calling a overly liked, overly powerful, overly confident, always handed to them on a silver platter protagonist, Mary Sue in anime or manga. You know, it's like
Okay, so let's start here. Let's go around the table and define overpowered versus Mary Sue. So if you were to put a definition to those two terms, firstly, would you separate them or are they synonymous? And if so, if they are separated, what's the difference?
Hmm.
Stephen.
Okay.
ooh, you got me off like a little off guard there.
All right, we'll come back to you then. Think about it for a second. Listen to what these guys say. DJ, what do you think?
Okay, so how I would define an overpowered versus a Mary Sue. Overpowered characters are just characters that ridiculously powerful. You wouldn't expect them to be beaten in a fight very easily, but that doesn't mean they don't face challenges. And I'll get into my thoughts on that later because that's us at this point. Mary Sue is a character that, while does not have to be overpowered, but everything is easy, and their challenges are not really challenges. There's other details to it, but that's the broad overview.
Okay, Cordero.
Okay, so overpowered would be a character within within the fictional universe they reside, a character who is at the high end of the power scaling of that universe. That's overpowered. Whereas a Mary Sue is just a poorly written character. So one I would refer to as a neutral term. Overpowered is a neutral term, and Mary Sue is exclusively derogatory. They are not synonyms. There is a Venn diagram overlap, but they're not even really the same category. Because a Mary Sue, like I said, is a poorly written character, and overpowered is often a trait that a Mary Sue will have that contributes to why they're so poorly written. But an overpowered character, Mary Sue or not, can be written well with skill. There's no such thing as a skillful Mary Sue. If you write a Mary Sue well, it's no longer a Mary Sue. It's exclusively a derogatory term.
Interesting. Steven, have you come up with anything yet?
Well, yeah, like both DJ and uh Chopper. I keep on forgetting your name. I'm so sorry.
Cordero.
I will accept Chopper. You can definitely call me Chopper.
Okay. Yeah. DJ and Chopper both have excellent points to both Mary Sue and Overpowered. Like Overpower is like the being extreme power overpower on that scale person that does face challenges, while Mary Sue like has it easy despite any or if any and all challenges come at their way. That doesn't seem much of a challenge. Yeah, so yeah.
Can you give us an example, Steven? Can you give us an example of overpowered versus Mary Sue? So who name a character that's overpowered and name a character that you would say is a Mary Sue.
Ooh, well, the thing is, when I like thought about this subject, like I was thinking like various characters I see in Japanese media and all stuff like that, that could fit like the overpower. Like I have so many to choose from, but
Mm-hmm.
the the one that blurs the line that both overpowered and Mary Sue-ness is Sid from Emirates of Shadow. I don't know if you ever heard that series before,
I've
but
actually
basically,
never heard of that series. Has anybody else heard of that series?
What was it called?
The first name is kind of hard to pronounce. I'm so sorry, but it's
What's
called
the
Emerus in Shadow. It's something
Immerse in
in Shadow.
Shadow?
Yeah,
Is it an anime?
it's an anime manga light novel,
Okay.
or it's an isekai
Okay.
series. Basically transports another world, reborn in another world with all these powers and all this stuff. What
Yeah.
makes this guy stands out from most protagonists is like for most overpower protagonists and stuff, is that not only is like a super powerful, super skillful, all that stuff. This guy, like some characters like tend to bullshit. Sorry, my language. Their way out
How
of
dare you?
out of their fluke it. I'm gonna say fluke their way out of situations.
Right.
This guy thinks about his fluke, and it happens automatically. And
Okay.
yeah, it's like his imagination, his arrogance, I would say, is like when he thinks about it, it comes true automatically.
Okay.
And that's like that tends to blur the line to me.
I
Like being
haven't seen it, but I am familiar with Eminence in Shadow.
Okay.
He basically tries to be the hidden mastermind in the shadows, who's this all-powerful guy, and basically his charisma. Imagine the charisma stat being in a mind-numbing number, and basically anything he
Yeah.
says.
Okay, so
yeah,
that I would definitely call that an powered ability. But I'm intrigued. What are the limitations? What struggle does he face?
I would say he doesn't face any struggle. As like for him,
Is he a Mary Sue?
Oh, here let me get to my thing. The
Okay.
thing is like for example, when terrorists attacks his school, people will say, "Oh," this guy say, "Hell yeah," and like and
Oh.
to basically hide in shadow, he literally fakes his death by being sliced almost in half, and he like
Okay.
yeah, and he basically survives being sliced almost in half.
Okay. So is
So
this
So
without seeing this show, I can't really make a judgment call on that.
Yeah, I don't have a frame of reference because like it sounds like he's very powerful and can do a lot of things, but the reason I asked what the conflict is that's the conflict is usually what keeps something from being a Mary Sue. Is if he is, despite being powerful, he has some kind of struggle or some kind of arc to overcome.
he doesn't have anything. I mean, here's the thing. Like most characters will like try to figure out. He just like how you say like he embraces it.
What
He
are
like
his goals? What does he want in the universe, in his series? What does he want, and is anything stopping him from achieving it?
He wants to be a cool mob boss.
there.
Okay.
That's basically that's what it is. He likes to be a
Why
background.
isn't he a cool mob boss at episode 1?
Because well, actually, that's a long story. But basically, he likes to be in the background. He likes to be the background character. Basically, likes to be Batman.
What?
If a mob
So,
Batman.
so he wants to be a mob boss, but hands off in the shadows.
He wants to be unrecognizable in the day, and then the most badass person to ever live at night.
Okay, so he just wants like a dual life where he's this badass creature. Well, he has all this power, so he could. It seems like he could coerce people if he wanted to. What's keeping him from doing this? I'm having trouble understanding the premise of the show.
From what I
Because
understand,
it
there's
sounds like
literally nothing. He just needs to
it's-
find people and turn them to his side. That's it.
It sounds
And
like
from what I
he's
understand,
describing the Purple Man from Marvel.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, but he doesn't have that basically that ability, you know.
Right. See, if
sure
there's
but,
no,
do.
it sounds like I haven't seen the show, so I don't know. It sounds like there's no conflict in the show. Like there's nothing to make you want to watch, unless you just like watching a whole movie of a guy who uses his powers. The end.
the thing is that makes it watchable is his arrogance about everything. I mean,
So
and
it sounds like you like him because he's just really confident.
You just like the cut of his jib, and there's no story. Did we lose Steven?
Yeah, sorry.
He's probably thinking.
I think he muted to talk to someone.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Hello.
We're here.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It's like someone like came to talk to me. Sorry.
Yeah.
What was it again?
It sounds like you just like the cut of his jib, but there's no story here.
Oh, there's a story. Just like it's like a little hard to find, So
What is the story? What is the story?
Him being
and is this him being
he has a cult to fight.
So the cult is in his way. The cult can stand up to him.
The thing is, he made it up in the beginning.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I think we got to move off of this one because we're not getting anywhere with it.
So is this an example of overpowered Mary Sue or both or neither?
It sounds like Mary Sue to me. It sounds like this is a horribly written show.
Me too.
Maybe I'll check out an episode just out of curiosity.
2 episodes because one is more like a prologue, but like
okay. So it's a slow starter and it has no story. This is a great ad.
It is a show that runs like its main character, and that is the rule of cool.
Oh, was this the 90s?
No, it just came out this year.
I remember the rule of cool.
Yeah.
It used to work on people.
Yeah. But often people call the series trash, but watchable trash.
Okay, so maybe it's a watchable train wreck, but I think we've already analyzed the reason it's a train wreck. Unless we're missing again, you're the only one who's seen the show. Should we move on to another example?
Yeah. So so Cordero, can you give us any examples of Mary Sue's and Overpowered?
Gosh, when I hear Mary Sue, I immediately jump to like poorly written fan fictions because that's really where the term comes from. It's implied to professional media often, but unfortunately, the only like major example that comes to my mind is one that gets people very upset. Although I think most people in this chat and stream won't disagree. But Rey Skywalker.
Ah, God.
From the prequels.
I knew you were gonna go there only because
somebody would had to.
Well, not just that, but I don't think anybody's gonna get upset because I don't know anybody that thinks Rey Skywalker isn't a Mary Sue.
Kathleen Kennedy, maybe.
Kathleen Kennedy's
there's a lot of defenders.
Sure, her opinion doesn't count.
There's a lot of Kathleen Kennedy aside. There's a lot of defenders of the Star Wars prequels and people who do not think Rey Skywalker is a Mary Sue. And honestly, a lot of people will be like, "You're dumb. Look, watch my video essay on why Rey Skywalker is the worst character ever written." And it's like, no, that's not true. There's a reason Rey Skywalker and the prequels have defenders. There's actually a lot to like about Rey Skywalker and a lot of things that they did really well. And I can understand somebody having a knee-jerk reaction to Rey being called a Mary Sue because it's basically like, but I like her and I like watching her and I like the character. They actually made a pretty good character. Like Rey Skywalker's presence on screen does not bother me. A lot of people online in video essays say that she's like a piece of wood. She's not. She's I think that she's a fun, well-written character for the most part. What makes her a Mary Sue is partially this overpowered thing we talk about. Powers come to. She's very strong to start with. Powers come to her very easily. And conflict that's directly in her path, maybe not all the conflict in the universe or the galaxy, but the conflict that's directly in her path is very much easily solved in all 3 movies, and it's usually solved by her, and by abilities that she already had, and that's where the overpowered Mary Sue talk comes from. It's not that Rey Skywalker herself is a miserable thing to watch on screen. It's just that they didn't put enough conflict in front of her and put enough challenge in front of her. I think that Rey Skywalker, as she was written, as she appeared on screen, could have dodged credible, keyword credible, you'll always have people who say it, credible Mary Sue accusations if they just had her take a few more L's, especially in the first movie. Like all of the talk about, oh, she's too powerful. She shouldn't know this power. She shouldn't be good at this and this already. all of that would have been muddy water under the bridge. Doesn't matter if she just lost early, because she was green and because she was learning. If she took more L's, people who know good storytelling would be, yeah, it doesn't matter ultimately what powers she has, as long as the protagonist has struggled and has to overcome something. And to me, she was literally that close to not being a Mary Sue. But despite me liking the character on screen, I have to agree with the criticism. She is overpowered, and there is a lack of conflict for her character specifically.
Chopper.
Vulpecula Einfield in the chat says She-Hulk, the live-action version, is a Mary
Oh
Sue.
yes, I've heard that too, but I haven't seen She-Hulk, but I have heard that.
Chopper. I gotta say that is the most nicest thing I ever heard anyone say about Rey Skywalker, and I like Rey, by the way. Like I'm not gonna be one of those petty people who say you're stupid and all this stuff. I mean, I do see the problems. I hope like if they do bring back when they eventually do bring back Daisy, the actress name.
Yeah.
When she bring the actors back, they can make a better story. You know, it's like
It might not.
Here's how we fix Star Wars. We put Dave Filoni in charge, and we cast me as Rey Skywalker.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna
Well,
do. Yeah, we're gonna give it to Dave Filoni, and then we're gonna cast me as Rey Skywalker. That'll solve all the problems Star Wars ever had.
Wow.
How about an overpowered character, Cordero? Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, and I'm going to use a good example of a character that I think is well written, and that's the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Which Doctor?
Okay.
There's
yeah, right. There's a lot of Doctors. I guess I'll stick mostly to, Ninth Doctor through 11 or 12, because those are the ones that I know really well. I saw some older Doctors a little bit, and I haven't watched since Capaldi. I've seen 2 of his 3 seasons.
You gonna see the new?
But the idea of the Doctor Who character from Eccleston through Capaldi, through that era, the idea of the Doctor is he is a very very much overpowered character. He has power, science, magic, whatever you want to call it. He would call it science in universe. He is powerful enough to stand up to entire like planets of like races of people, entire armies and cultures. Like he can escape death, he can cheat death, he can save people from death. He's really smart and can see through. He can often see through illusions and find the truth and find the solution. And answers come to him easily, and he has so much knowledge and resources at his fingertips. But I don't think I have ever heard even a crazy person refer to Doctor Who as a Mary Sue, because holy crap, is his path littered with conflict and roadblocks that get in his way. Because with Doctor Who, it's similar to how Superman and other overpowered characters are written. There's a tactic for overpowered characters, is the challenge isn't, are they powerful enough to defeat X? Like, it doesn't matter if Goku or Superman can beat X. Well, for Goku it does. But for this version of an overpowered character, it's they have wants and desires that their power doesn't automatically save. So while the Doctor might be able to raised a bunch of power to like wipe an entire bad race or whatever out of existence, he can't do so without harming innocents. Like, he cares about regular everyday innocent lives, and so the fact that he cares about that means that he has to come up with solutions that save as many people or all the people if he can. And that's harder. Even with all of the power at his disposal, that's very difficult, and that creates conflict. And when he loses, it's usually not him getting hurt or injured or pushed to near death. It's usually someone he cares about, and then by extension the audience cares about, gets injured or pushed to death or just straight up killed. The Doctor failing. The conflict comes from the Doctor failing, not the Doctor being strong enough.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Doctor is the last of his kind, isn't he?
Yes.
Second to last.
Okay, so yeah, there's very few of them left. The whole reason that was because he killed the rest of his race, didn't he? Or like
No,
froze them in time or something
no.
like that. What?
That's
The timelines. Gosh, it's been so long. I've been away from Doctor Who for so long. Skywalker, weren't they? They are stuck in a time loop, aren't the Time Lords? Like
they were, and then they died during her run.
oh
The Master
Yeah,
went and
'cause
killed them all again. So
yeah, because there was like a
there goes
war.
that story.
Was that Missy
No,
who did that?
during
God,
her run.
Oh, the
You
female
talking
doctor.
about the female Doctor?
Yeah.
Oh
Her
yeah.
yeah,
See,
master-
I didn't
the
see
one that
any of
was
her stuff, so I
universally
didn't
panned?
know.
Yes,
So
her
that-
master went and turned the Time Lord's entire species into Cybermen, and then they all blew up.
Okay, I won't comment on her run because I literally haven't seen any of it. I've heard the bad things,
It's
and it's not that I don't believe people, but I can't make a comment if I haven't seen her version of the Doctor. I haven't even seen Capaldi's final season.
pretty decent.
Vulpecula says we don't talk about her. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
her because DJ, that might be an example of a Mary Sue. Would you say? I don't know. I don't know anything about the Doctor, but
Sadly, yes.
Damn, that sucks. And you know what sucks is people would accuse her being called a Mary Sue being sexist because all the doctors up until then were men. And it just so happens that we finally get a female doctor, and it happens to be the most poorly written doctor. And again, I haven't seen any of her run, but that appears to be the case. And again, it has nothing to do with they cast a woman doctor. It has to do that the writing was just terrible.
The writing was so god awful. There's not a single good episode in the bunch.
There could have easily been a woman doctor, both in lore, it fits in lore, and just quality in writing. I mean, look at Missy. Missy is one of my favorite Doctor Who characters of all time, and that was just a female master, like the Master. They made Doctor Who's nemesis a woman, and all of the hardcore fans didn't bat an eye. That was fine, and she was an incredible villain.
She was wacky and crazy. That's the Master.
Yeah, and cruel, and conniving. It was great. It was great. I actually enjoyed her on screen than almost any other villain in Doctor Who. So that's why when it was like, oh, there's gonna be a female Doctor, I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
You would
Why
like
not?
to call this final season then, because she's a main part of it.
Capaldi's final season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should go watch his final season because I liked Capaldi as the Doctor. The problem is that's when the writing started going downhill.
I'm very eager to see what the next Doctor is going to do because we have Tennant back for 3 episodes.
Is he back, or is he like a temporary thing?
He is the 14th Doctor now.
So he's literally on another run, like because I saw the teaser for that, and I was so terrified that they were gonna make like one afternoon special and then move on to the real Doctor. So
It's
like
great.
I was holding out my hope.
We have the writer back from seasons 9 and 10.
Russell T Davies.
Yeah, he's the writer again. He's the showrunner again.
Okay.
Tennant's back as the 14th Doctor. She regenerated into him, and Donna Noble is going to be back as the companion.
Oh, okay.
So here's
how we marking the 60th anniversary.
Here's how we fix Doctor Who. We put DJ in charge of it, and Steven's gonna be cast as the 20th Doctor.
Perfect. Listen, when I saw that they were bringing back Tennant, I was like, wow, that is a desperate ploy to get the fan base back, and it absolutely is very desperate of them. But if they do it well, I won't care, and I get to have more David Tennant as the Doctor. And again, I'm like, I am not getting bait and switched by this. I saw that preview, and I'm like, I am not coming back for one afternoon special for him then to regenerate into somebody else. Or it'd be like, oh, that wasn't really the Doctor, that was someone else. Because they would do that kind of bullshit. But if he's back for multiple seasons,
no,
I am in for this desperate fandom grab.
It's 3 special episodes.
So
That's
it's
better than
3
one.
afternoon specials.
And then he turns into the 15th, who is a black guy. I forget his name.
Oh, that is what they're doing.
He gets to be the doctor for the 3 specials to mark the 60th.
God damn it! They're doing exactly what I said.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer. It's basically a mini season.
I'm not coming back.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
I'm not coming back for a 3-episode tease.
That sounds pretty racist of you, Cordero.
Against David Tennant, yes.
Let me ask, with all these franchises talk, have you ever met a Mary Sue or someone who's labeled a Mary Sue that is not in a franchise?
What do you mean
not
by
a franchise? Like not in a professional piece of media?
No. More like that's not like a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or
like
something that's not an extended series, like just a movie.
Yeah,
or a book,
a movie, or any medium like that. Besides the original Mary Sue, have you ever seen or actually this could extend to books too. A book, a movie, a TV series that anyone has ever named a character a Mary Sue, but that's not in a well-known franchise.
So we're looking for obscure Mary Sues,
like a one-off book or something, or like a single movie that didn't extend into a season or franchise or sequels. Okay. Wow, I'll have to sit on that one because you invoked the original Mary Sue, which is the unholy. The origin of Mary Sue is the unholy Star Trek Next Gen fanfic, where the main character was named Mary Sue, and she was an ensign on the Enterprise, and just. Are you guys aware of this? The the original Mary Sue, yeah, and why we say Mary Sue? Her name was Mary Sue. She was a Starfleet officer on the Enterprise, and everyone loved her, and she kept getting promoted. Captain Picard and I think Captain Kirk somehow too. Everybody wanted to sleep with her, and thought she was the greatest. And the end of the story is she dies to save the ship, and everyone mourns her and how great she was. There's more to it than that, but this awful fan fiction is what spawned the term, because the cancer that was Mary Sue was a very common problem in not just fanfic, well, definitely in fan fiction, and sometimes in literature itself. It is a trap that an author can fall into. That's what a Mary Sue is.
Wasn't it written as a joke at first? Like someone that was tired of.
I'm pretty sure that fic was earnest. I'm pretty sure the original fic was earnest. Most fan fictions are.
Xander in the chat says Aragorn is a Gary Stew. Does anybody know about Aragorn? I know
from Lord of the Rings.
Dragon?
Strider from Lord of the Rings?
No, I think he's meant that.
It's with an E, so I think he means Aragon.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
The Dragon book.
Yeah, and I knew he was talking about the Dragon book. It's
been a while since I've read those books, so I can't really comment on it. I don't remember him being a bad character.
They did make a movie that sucked.
The movie wasn't very good.
I thought it was okay.
I didn't see those. I can't comment on those. I didn't see those.
So let me ask you guys this then. Have you ever seen a character in popular media be critiqued as a Mary Sue, but you disagree? Like which character that you like has been called a Mary Sue but is not a Mary Sue? Name the character and tell me why. DJ, do you have one?
Superman.
Superman.
That's a good one.
So
Superman has had many iterations. Sadly, some of them have been on the more Mary Sue side, but the majority of the Superman I am familiar with, coming from the TV shows, some of the movies, Superman is not a Mary Sue because his challenges are not challenges of strength. Sure, he faces supervillains, he has bad guys, but his challenges are more trying to understand who he is. His challenges come from basically being an immigrant with godlike powers among a world of cardboard. His challenges are to try and have a normal life while also being a nice guy who wants to help.
Yeah.
It is a misunderstanding of that often leads to those who should not be writing Superman, writing him as a Mary Sue where nothing is ever really a challenge for him. Everything just turns out easy. When Superman has many times been forced into horrible situations. I know everyone hates it, but Man of Steel was one where he had a choice between killing someone and saving lives or keeping his hands clean of ever killing, and he had to snap the bad guy's neck. Or there's the finale of the Superman animated series where he got brain controlled and turned into the Legion and turned into the commander of an army of Apocalypse sent to Earth. And after he's freed, the world is scared of him. No one wants Superman anymore because he basically turned on them and attempted to murder the entire planet. And from there, he has to build his reputation back up.
Yeah, Superman. That was going to be one of the other examples I brought up. Superman is a similar tactic to Doctor Who of how to write overpowered characters when he's written well, because a bajillion people from comics to movies to cartoons have attempted to write Superman, but usually when he's written well, it's the tactic that DJ alluded to and that I said earlier of, yes, he's powerful, but his wants and desires are vulnerable, and he has to protect those. Like either an entire planet or the people he cares about. He's protecting innocence, and even with all of his power, that's difficult to do. And they'll either do that, or they'll bring somebody from the universe, from space, who is powerful enough to stand up to him, or they'll do both at the same time.
Which is Darkseid in a nutshell.
Yes. So there is conflict and drama to be had from Superman and Doctor Who, and both of them are very, very overpowered characters. They're just done correctly.
And of course, the best Superman story, in my opinion, it's not the actual name of the comic, but it got turned into my favorite Superman movie, is Superman versus the Elite, where Superman basically is forced to deal with a group of superheroes who are everything he stands against. They want to use their power to, as they said it, there is a tumor on the world, and they're going to be the surgeons to cut it out. Basically, they are no holds barred. They will kill anyone they deem evil. And Superman's thing is he's still the paragon of justice, of hope, and truth. And they end up getting into conflict because Superman can't stand what they do, because they're even tainting children to where he sees kids wanting to be the elite and killing people.
Yeah.
Like and his conflict is just to by the end of it, he has to show people what happens when someone like Superman snaps. Because he actually fakes snapping and makes it look like he's killed them all. He brutally assaults them all, beating the crap out of all of the elite, even going so far as making it look like he caused a lobotomy on the leader and just started.
This sounds familiar. We've definitely talked about this movie on the show before. I feel like I think it was you too, or somebody went through this entire movie plot before, and it sounds like a really interesting one. I still haven't seen it.
I recommend it to anyone. It's on
Superman versus the Elite.
Yeah, Superman versus the Elite.
That sounds really cool.
It's pretty old by this point, but
can we so overpowered character? Can we talk about Omni-Man and Invincible?
Oh, I haven't seen Invincible.
That's definitely not Mary Sue's, because what gets me a lot about overpowered characters that I hate is when they're indestructible to everyone else around them. Like I need the universe, whatever I'm watching, to have balance. So Omni-Man is a weird example that I'll get to in a second, but Omni-Man was balanced. Like he could have been taken out by the rest of the superheroes on Earth. So he wasn't just this. He wasn't just an indestructible Superman.
I mean, he literally won a 7-on-1 fight in the first episode.
Yes, That's
and
true.
went 7-0
But
simultaneously.
they had him on the ropes, and he spent some time in the ICU when they were done when he was done with that fight.
Right.
So they could have, with a slight strategy change, and I've actually seen a really interesting video going
Right.
about
In
like, hey,
theory,
if they
they could have killed him.
right. So, and that's good enough to that's good enough for me. Superman, especially modern Superman, doesn't have any of that sort of balance. If you're dealing with things like friendship is magic, you get characters like Celestia, Luna, Twilight, Starlight, the things like that, where they're definitely
Yeah. Where
very
Celestia and Luna
strong.
trip over a twig and they're taken out of the plot
Yeah.
for
Well, I
Twilight
wouldn't.
Sparkle to fix.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I definitely get
Literally,
what you're
the
saying.
season 4 opener. Celestia stumbles over a twig, which happens to be a plant monster that's growing. She literally trips and falls and is caught by it, and that's it. The princesses are taken out.
It
I was being
chased her.
literal.
No, you were not being literal. She didn't trip over it. It was growing, and then it like wrapped her around her.
And
It
made her
attacked her.
trip. And made her trip.
I
I'm
remember that
being
scene.
I'm being
I-
flippant, but I'm being pretty serious. It grabbed her leg and she tripped, and that's it. No Celestia.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the kind of balance that, like, yeah, she could theoretically blow that thing up, but it doesn't matter how strong you are if you get caught off guard.
Yeah.
That's so that's the type of balance. So I like Omni-Man. Omni-Man was kind of weird because you saw him like blowing up whole cities with his bare hands on like alien planets. Um, and
Right.
like traveling at like light speed and blowing up several cities pretty much at the same time. And then he got taken out by that group of superheroes. So I have no idea how the power scaling
Okay.
seems really inconsistent. But other than that, yeah. So tell
I
me
think
more
the
about
reason
Omni-Man.
I think the reason he set that entire, like, for lack of a better word, it wasn't Martian, that other dimensional alien race that he
Yeah.
went to their city and blew everything up. He was unleashing, because I think he has laser eyes like Superman. He can do that. So he was basically unleashing his power wantonly because he didn't care who died. He basically condemned all of them as a species. So he unleashed his full power because it didn't matter if there was collateral damage. He wanted to cause collateral damage and kill as many as possible. When Omni-Man doesn't care about the fallout, he can unleash its power, and it's horrific and devastating. But even when he was fighting the 7 heroes of justice, his goal wasn't to destroy everything around him or have collateral damage. So he had to limit himself to just eliminating the 7 of them. And that's why he didn't just like use his laser eyes to set the whole place ablaze. Because if anything, taking the confined space and making it a bigger space would have been to the 7 of theirs advantage, and the fight would have spread, and he would have been caught.
Okay.
And he had to do it secretly.
Okay, I can see your point.
Yeah.
So is it Steven, how about you? Do you have an example of a character that gets called a Mary Sue, but you don't think is actually a Mary Sue?
Ooh, this there's one. I really don't want to stir up the hornet's nest because
No,
I don't know
stir the
exactly.
hornet's nest. The show is called Brony Debates.
Okay.
I
Not
want the
Brony sips
smoke.
tea and nods in agreement.
I want the smoke.
Korra.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Okay.
I do in fact think Korra is a Mary Sue. Well, no. I hate her character. She's not a Mary Sue. I can give you that. But tell me,
Correct. She is not a Mary Sue.
Yeah, tell me. I want you to tell me why she's not a Mary Sue.
Well, in my opinion, she does start off Mary Sue-ness, but I don't think I've seen a character that like falls down to despite her winning her battles, despite her succeeding where others do, she does tend to lose something each season. it's been a while since I've seen the series, so forgive me if I'm misinterpreting or if I'm misremembering some parts. But let's see. In season 3, she was basically confined to a wheelchair, and and someone else was basically the hero while she was crying. In the beginning of season 4, I believe she started off different from the first episode. She basically had everything on a silver platter. Now she's in like basically underground fights, trying to rediscover who she was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
that was the
I have
fallout from
seen
season
Korra
3.
analyzed like this, and it made the show make a lot of sense to me. Is Avatar: The Last Airbender was about Aang learning to be the Avatar. Korra, it was about Korra learning how to be. It was about the Avatar learning how to be human. That was some random post I saw
Uh,
on Tumblr years ago.
I don't know
Um,
about the be human part, but I would agree that Korra is not about finding her power. Aang was about finding his power. Korra was, I would say, was about being a leader, because the Avatar by default is a leader of people. Um, and while she was powerful, she was not ready to be a leader. She was too immature. And right off the bat, in episode 1, her brashness gets her butt in trouble. And it doesn't matter how strong she is; she's too hot-headed and has to learn how to temper herself. People get mad that Korra knew like 3 elements at age 6 and Aang only knew 1 at 10. But again, that's moot. Just like I said with Skywalker, Rey Skywalker, that was moot.
go on.
Sorry, my brain froze. It's moot that she was more powerful than Aang was when he was 10, when she was 6, because from a narrative standpoint, she's immediately challenged. Maybe not when she's 6, because that's like the prologue, but as soon as like she's of age and we're into her actual story, she's immediately challenged by conflict, and she takes loss after loss and has to have a lot of character growth in order to overcome the conflict. She's both ideologically defeated, like character motivation arc defeated, physically defeated, bending power defeated. She's defeated in every aspect you can imagine before she succeeds. So that by default takes her out of the Mary Sue conversation. And it's just a matter of, was she written well or not? Because even if you're not a Mary Sue, doesn't mean you're written well.
I would say Korra is more of a story of responsibility and what happens
What do you
when you don't
Yeah, I mean,
aren't able
similar
to
idea,
embrace the
semantic.
consequences.
would it be would it be fair to call Korra up well, actually,
What?
let me rephrase that. Would it be okay to call Korra's character or abilities or whatever? I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't have a word for it. On the spectrum of shoot, I had the term for it.
is she
Prodigy.
overpowered?
No, prodigy. A
Oh,
Okay.
prodigy.
okay.
I mean, I feel like the Avatar by nature is a prodigy, because they're like, any Avatar is born with this incredible potential, which is sort of the idea of a prodigy. It's like a prolific talent from an early age. So yes, Korra is a prodigy, but also yes, all avatars are a prodigy. Korra, the power part of being an avatar, she was prolific at that early and earlier than we assume a lot of the other avatars were, certainly sooner than Aang. So her conflict had to be elsewhere. So she got a power spike early, but she had a huge character flaw to overcome in order to use her power well.
Which honestly makes sense because
Yeah.
we already had that song and dance with Aang. If it was
Yeah,
just
like
relearning the thing,
why write Aang again? It makes sense to change direction. Why just write Aang again as a girl? I think the
Indeed.
direction they chose for Korra was a good direction. I think Korra was written well in season 1. I think Korra was written poorly in season 2.
Everyone hates season 2, but 3 and 4
I think the
are
main conflict of season 3 is really good. There's a lot of problems with season 3. And I never actually finished season 4, but I liked how it was going.
was weird.
Season
with the train and
Korra
the
definitely had
crazy Earth lady.
Yeah, Korra definitely had moments of being a Mary Sue. Um, such as, becoming that giant, like, kaiju avatar out of nowhere in season 2.
That
I'm
was
gonna
so
spoil
bad.
it. I'm gonna
That
spoil it
was
for
so
you.
bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna spoil it for you, Cordero. At the end of season 4,
Okay.
she blocks, like, she
Kurosami.
yeah, not Korosami. I mean, that was weird in itself. But at the end of season 4, she blocks basically the Death Star laser with her bare
Okay.
hands,
Well,
and yeah, and creates another portal to the like another physical portal to the
to the
spirit
spirit
world.
world
Yeah.
again.
Mm-hmm.
What was wrong with the earlier portals to the spirit
I thought it
world
was the
she
same
opened?
one.
Making
But
it
she
up.
already opened portals to the spirit world.
I need to rewatch it because I remember her fighting inside of a giant robot, not fighting a death laser.
Either
The robot malfunctioned and shot its laser like directly at where her and Kariva happened to be fighting, and she decided to save Kariva, which involved blocking the giant laser with her bare hands.
Okay. Which in universe could have been you say it in a stupid way, but that could have been done well.
I
In
mean, if you
universe.
want to get pedantic about it, laser is just another element. She could probably bend it.
Yeah,
It
someone
was
said like
it was they were calling it
it.
spirit bending in
Yeah,
that context. So
Sure. I guess
perhaps, but the
which would be fine if you establish that, and then that's the payoff. Again, it's not that the idea is stupid. It's not like blocking the Death Star laser is a stupid
the
idea.
execution.
Exactly.
which is the crux of almost every writing topic debate that we have. The so that actually leads me into the last question that I want to ask is at what point is it possible that when the power scaling reaches a certain point that it starts becoming a Mary Sue type of situation, or is that just more bad writing? Because we see things like Neo Anton in the chat said, Naruto in a nutshell went from hand to hand combat that is relatively easy to understand to just giant laser fights, and we've seen the same thing with like Dragon Ball Z. So at a certain point, does the power scaling get to be too much and turn a character into a Mary Sue?
I would argue no, that power scaling on its own does not a Mary Sue make. Again, a skilled writer can take anything from a weak, helpless child to the actual god of the universe and make a compelling story. The power scaling on its own is never the only issue. Now you have different challenges writing an interesting weak child than you do writing the god of the world. If either of those are going to be your main character, you'll have different challenges to make that interesting. But you absolutely can do it. It is exclusively a Mary Sue when it's done poorly, and the most common way that it's done that it's done poorly is that there's no conflict.
In another way to phrase it,
Meaningful conflict.
Being overpowered is a symptom, but not a leading cause.
Correct. Absolutely correct. It's a common symptom, but it is not the cause of being a Mary Sue. She's too powerful. She has too many powers. You could have gotten away with that. You could have gotten away with Skywalker. It's not Rai Skywalker. With Rai Skywalker being the most powerful Jedi we'd ever seen, just because she was born that way. You could have gotten away with it. You just had to throw some roadblocks at her and let her take some L's. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It was that easy. It was that easy to overcome the Mary Sue conversation.
No, I believe you. It's like I've been like all these years, like I've been hearing people like I like Ray. I always did like Ray. I do think her character character writing for her is super flawed. But I don't think I ever met anyone who basically defended her the way you did. in your way. It's like it's refreshing. It doesn't seem like mean or condescending.
It's because I don't have a hate boner for Rey Skywalker or the prequels. I don't want either of them to fail. I'm just observing what I see.
And for that I bless you, love you, and thank you. It's like
Harriman is getting triggered in the chat every time we say Rey Skywalker. He goes,
he's messing around. That is really funny.
I have no idea what he's talking
tell them
about.
that if he's being earnest, he needs to pretend it's a joke because it's a really funny joke. You're right, it is Rey Palpatine. It's Rey Patine. But she goes, listen, she identifies as a Skywalker, and you need to respect that.
Alrighty then. So, does anybody else have any topics on this or points that they want to bring up?
We can do another point along this vein if we want to, but I wanted to bring up my challenge for you.
Okay.
Which has to do with writing, and by challenge I mean I want you to challenge me in a very specific way.
Okay, so what challenge do you want to issue yourself?
So I bring this here today because we're talking about writing again. So to completely match the topic, I should have made it about Mary Sue or overpowered characters, but I'd rather it be something that can hurt you more. There are many ships in Fringe of His Magic that the fans love. And there are very few, if not zero, fandom ships. In other words, not canon to the My Little Pony universe. There are many fan ships that are very popular that you hate. And Brony, I wanted you to pick one of the common, popular, or maybe slightly uncommon, but popular fandom MLP ships that you find distasteful. And my job is to write a short story shipping those two characters together and get you to like it.
Well, that's really easy. That's,
and I swear to God, if you throw something retarded at me, like Celestia Featherweight, as much as I'd love to ship TO8, which I don't.
TO8 sounds like something entirely different.
I would take that over some of the ships. You know me. I don't like gay ships.
Here comes the Lyrabon.
So, yeah,
okay.
Lyrabon.
You're homophobic. That's fine.
Yeah, mildly, yes. I just don't want it in my kids' shows. Really, that's all that matters. But yeah, I'm not. So any.
I figured it was going to be a lesbo ship.
Yeah, any of the same-sex fandom ships is pretty easy. So Lyrabon or Octoscratch. So what'd you say, DJ?
Sombra Pie.
Sombra Pie. I'm not fond of Sombra Pie. I think Sombra Shy would have worked better than Disco Shy. There's one you could work with there too.
Sombra Pie is only popular because of the Ass King Pinkie Pie series that was funny. That's the only reason that ship is popular.
Yeah, and there's way more Sombra Shy content out there. Like Sombra Shy got at least from what I've seen, and I think that's a better ship. So you got a couple options there. You've got Disco Shy, you've got Sombra Pie, you've got
well, Disco Shy is canon.
Yeah, that's true.
They were married at the end of that last episode. They clearly were. In the finale.
Brony, what's wrong with Discord and Fluttershy?
Oh geez, I did a whole video with Caps Lock back like several years ago about it, and it basically boiled down to they would be able to find no common ground, and Discord is not mature enough to maintain any sort of relationship. It would end up becoming abusive, and then he would get really attached, and then because he's immortal and she's not, when she inevitably passes away, he's probably going to go insane again, and now we got to deal with that whole situation again, probably minus the elements of harmony.
They actually did that in Gen 5. They unironically did that in Gen 5.
Yeah,
I've heard. I haven't gotten around to checking out the comics for Gen 5 yet, but
Yeah.
I heard that's what they did.
it was pretty decent by the end of it.
Yeah.
Had a lot of hiccups along the way, though. Of course.
Well,
I bet
okay.
the Gen 5 stuff has not been very good. Xander
Comics
says
have been-
Xander says Starlight and Sombra. I could see that. They would bring out the worst of each other, but
Oh
they
my
would
God.
do it together. Starlight and
Jesus
Sombra.
Christ, how horrifying! That is a terrifying power couple.
That
I bet
is,
she
yeah,
would
that
focus
would be that would have defeated Twilight in the main six. Those two characters
Yes.
are too powerful and too smart. With
So-
all the Tyrek, Cozy Glow, and Chrysalis failed because they're not great. They're aside from Cozy Glow. Cozy Glow's an amazing strategist, but they let their egos get in the way. Sombra and Starlight do not have that problem.
Yeah, they would be more practical. But yeah, Brony, you have to pick it. You have to pick the
Okay.
ship. Just tell me one.
Okay, so let
Do
me
you want a
see here.
lesbo
I'm
one?
between
Do you want, or
I'm
do you want-
between Lyra and
Okay.
Oh my.
and Sombra Pie. let's
take Sombra Pie.
have the chat decide. Chat, do we want to see Cordero write get me to like a Sombra Pie story or a Lyra story? I feel like Lyra would be harder because of my
Yeah.
prejudices.
Against Lyra and Bonbon, against characters that were never characterized outside of the joke episode.
Oh, there's the books.
Yes. Well, you're talking a fandom ship. The whole reason that happened was because of the fandom.
Yeah.
Next to each
I know.
other. Touch grass. People
What?
can
You
be
like-
friends.
That doesn't stop people
I
from
was waiting.
thinking
I've been waiting since 2010 for that joke for that freaking meme to die, and it never did.
It never will. Yeah, you know what's funny? I expected you to throw like Apple Dash at me. I thought you were gonna throw a main 6 ship at me.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's true. And even outside of
I want
I
the
don't
one
like-
that makes you the most
even
upset.
even outside of like same-sex ships, it's like there's a dynamic there that's very important to the whole premise of the show, and I feel like shipping the main 6 disrespects that premise.
Yes, and I've heard you say that before. So that's why I thought you would give me a main ship. We should call it main ship. A main ship 6.
Okay, so
And
all
I-
right, you know
yeah,
what,
I
you know
really
what, you
be
know
able
what.
to-
All right, I'm
Summerpie's
gonna
winning.
change. I am so that's true. And now I feel really bad for asking the chat because I'm actually going to change my answer. I
Awesome.
think here's the
Thank
thing.
you for thank you for your input. Go fuck yourself. Says
I know,
Brony. Join his
that
Patreon.
That happens a lot, and I hate it every time. It happens when I write too. I'm like, hey, I've got these two directions I could take this. I need to know which I should do, and they'll tell me which one they think is better, and then I hear it out loud said back to me, and I realize it's horrible, and I'm like, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm gonna do the opposite though.
Thanks, chat. I needed your help to know what not to do.
Cordero, you know what you should do?
What should I
Do
do?
some quick one-shots of each main 6 ship. See if you can get Brony to like at least one.
I could. Well, Brony, what were you going to pivot to?
Okay. I have lived the Twidash ship. And because I have lived the Twidash ship, that is like that's like a nerve for me. And especially difficult for me to believe would work on a character level. Because I know how the Twidash ship ends. And and so if you can get me to like Twidash, I think that would unequivocally win the challenge.
Okay. That and that'll be challenging for me because
Sombra Pie could have a chance. Shoot, Heather makes a really good case for Sombra Pie. And the others are just, I'm biased. So it's difficult, but but Twidash hits all the points of it's personal. I don't think it would work from a character stance, and I'm biased.
Okay.
Angel of Speed
That-
says this went from Mary Sue to a shipping debate.
Yes, 100% my fault, because I thought we were at the end of the debate and I wanted to
Well,
bring
you
up
know
the
what?
challenge.
Shipping is a huge part of being a Mary Sue as well, because they get shipped with everyone.
True. Mary Sue's
mean,
get
that-
shipped with life.
I mean, that usually happens with harem series all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you
And
know,
Mary
we didn't
Sue's
talk a
anime.
whole lot about a whole lot about Sword Art Online, which I thought.
Oh my
Do
god!
we have to?
How dare you?
Well, here's the thing. I think Kirito started out as a decently overpowered character because he grinded mostly by himself and leveled up by himself, so he wouldn't need to, be close to people and get his heart broken when he watches them die. Sort of thing. So that was a good overpowered character, but as the time went on and like after 3 or some odd seasons of it, it just became a harem anime, and everybody that meets Kirito just loves him right off the bat, and even despite the fact that he doesn't do anything, he definitely turned into a Mary Sue.
Lies.
Ah.
Okay, so why is it lies?
Because for Phantom Bullet, dealing with PTSD, he has plenty of challenges there. Plus, he's also a secondary character in that season. The main character is the girl.
It
He has her own
was the
crap
girl.
stuff.
It was the girl, but then he did save her ass.
Yeah, but that's just part of her story to help her overcome it by the end. The most recent series, the Alicization arc, he's dying, is trapped in a virtual world with no idea what's happening outside of it, and is basically just trying to find out what happens. Then he gets a shock to the brain and is paralyzed for most of the series.
I
Hmm.
haven't seen that part of the season
Yeah,
yet.
I didn't even know they had more of it out. Freaking
I watched-
Season 3.
I watch things that are good, so I haven't seen Sword Art Online.
Rusty Helm says, has anybody seen Sword Art Online abridged?
I haven't
Yes,
seen the
I
most
have.
recent one.
I
Oh my
actually
God.
have seen that.
Series. I have too much respect for the series I watched to even go there.
No. The abridged series is the best. Sword Art Online abridged
It is really
is
good.
the best abridged series, hands down.
Like, it's really funny, and I actually cried when it got to the emotional parts. Like,
Yeah, the last
the
episode.
stupid fucking abridged series got me emotional.
The ending of the last episode that just came out a few weeks ago. Holy frick. Also,
Cry.
Harriman goes,
Cry like a
Harriman goes obligatory dance. And I can't do the Sword Art Online abridged Kirito's voice, but I freaking read it in his voice.
Oh, Cordero Neo's trying to start a fight.
What did Neo say?
He
Luffy
says
is a Mary
Luffy.
Sue.
About it, everyone turned to help him after running hands. Is that a
Yeah,
typo? The
no,
fuck
no,
do you
no,
mean
it
running
means-
hands?
It means to fight him.
Oh, after
run
throwing hands. The term is throwing hands, not running hands.
I've seen people say running hands too, but I agree. Throwing
I've never
hands
heard
is a little
running
bit
hands.
better.
Throwing hands. Okay, so everyone
So
turned to help
Luffy
him
is a
after
Mary
throwing
Sue.
hands. Okay, that's the topic of the next debate because I literally don't have to get. We literally don't have time for me to get into why Neo Anton is wrong.
There's a lot of reasons why that's.
Bring him on.
All right, Neo.
Bring him on so I can tell him to his face why he's
I love
wrong.
it when the debates set themselves up. Neo, you're coming on next weekend. I want to see you and Cordero fight. I've never watched a single
do this.
episode of One Piece.
It's great.
Oh,
I've never watched a single episode of One Piece, and I don't plan on it. So
What was the topic you should address? What happened? I don't see the chat.
Is Luffy a Mary Sue? That's the debate.
And we can talk about how great the 4Kids series was.
Oh
I did that just
Watch
to
out.
stab Cordero.
You better dodge my suction cup darts.
oh jeez.
Oh.
Hang on a
Choppers
second.
doctoring.
A little up on the chat, Angel of Speed said, he quoted Cordero and said, that's the most brawny thing I've heard all night. I need to, and I actually missed you saying that, Cordero. So
Did I
we
say
gotta
that
get,
tonight? I know I say that.
Yeah,
I say that
what
tonight?
we might. I didn't hear you say it. That's what I'm saying. I didn't hear you say it. If you did, I need that clip because I need to know what I said. That is the most brawny thing you've heard all night.
I've
Oh,
definitely
jeez.
said that before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I said it tonight.
Alrighty then. We got other chat. I think we can get into now. So Rusty Helm says, "Would y'all consider Saitama a Mary Sue?"
No, that's not his
No.
challenge. His challenges are different.
No,
Yeah.
overpowered character. There is conflict. Well written. Absolutely not a Mary Sue.
Mhm.
Also, another thing is, it's a comedy.
Yeah,
Overpowered
it was all.
characters in comedy, you're usually not gonna have a Mary Sue out of that because a lot of it's just for the gags.
Yeah, it was always meant to be a parody of overpowered characters, so they had a little bit more leeway with him solving problems via bullshit. And even with that leeway, he's still well written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And the show
One
is
Punch
the
Man is a
show is
great
him,
show.
the show is him about trying to find some purpose and not be bored.
Exactly. His
Yeah.
wants and desires cannot be solved by how powerful he is. That's the joke. Is he so powerful that he actually seeks challenge and conflict? Like, he is such a parody joke on even the concept of a Mary Sue, and it's freaking brilliant because he literally craves what will make him not a Mary Sue, and that is to have a reasonable challenge. And he is denied having a reasonable challenge because he can defeat anyone he comes up against in one punch, which leaves him like with this meaningless existence. So instead he obsesses over like mundane life things and sales at the supermarket because he can't find a real challenge. That's hilarious.
And he doesn't
And I love it.
about it. He's a C rank.
Yeah, and then
he's a C rank because their rating system doesn't know how to handle him. That's also a joke. Is that the most powerful man in the universe is ranked a C superhero? Like that's also a joke in the series.
Yeah, and he's like trying to move up, and
they're lampooning the entire genre.
He gets
of
defeated
superhero
in other
universes.
ways too. Like there's a clip in the second season where he's playing video games against King, and King is just like using one finger to play the game, and Saitama can't beat him in the video game. And he gets really frustrated.
He's one punch man, not one input man.
Yeah. Rusty Helm for the, he asked this like 5 times throughout the chat here, but I caught it early on. He goes, have you guys seen, let me ask you guys this outside of his question. Have you heard I'm Sakamoto? That's the title of the show. Have you heard I'm Sakamoto?
Is that one anime dude who's just so extra and fabulous? And it's all about him living his life being... Yeah, it is that guy. I saw like the first episode of that, and I was entertained.
I couldn't stand that freaking show. But is he a Gary Stu? I think we could probably agree he is.
I would need to go back and rewatch. My gut instinct is to say no, but I'm mostly basing that on I enjoyed what I watched. I would have to go back and watch the show.
That's the thing. He's basically living. That's the thing about his character. Like, he makes anything look so easy and so plain. Even when people like get a chair, like pull a chair under him, he still has the ability to stand while sitting,
which is hilarious.
He was like sword fighting with a bee with his chopsticks while the whole class was afraid of this bee. And mostly the show is about everybody else's reactions to the things that he does. And then there's like one group that's like constantly trying to prank him. Like he's in the bathroom, he's sitting on the toilet. They're like, we're gonna throw a bucket of water on him while he's not suspecting it. And they throw the bucket of water, and then you see him in the stall. He's got an umbrella. and he's like, not. And he just goes, haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto. And then it just transitions to the next scene. So here's the question, Cordero. Is he the oxymoron? Is that an example of the oxymoron of a well-written Gary Stu?
There's no such thing as a well-written Gary Stu. If I watch the show and determine that he's well-written, I will be able to explain to you at that time why he's not a Mary Sue, or is.
So if a character is a Mary Sue, but they
They
are
are poorly written.
entertaining.
There is no.
Let me finish the question. If a
Okay.
character is a
Okay,
Mary
okay.
Sue, but they are entertaining, is the character still a Mary Sue? Not well written, entertaining.
Right, entertaining. I would need to be given an example because my answer without any examples is whatever it is about that character that makes them entertaining probably negates the fact that they're a Mary Sue.
It could be called
Or
overpowered.
the show is so bad and so poorly written that it doesn't matter if they're fun on screen, that it just sucks too much. But I it would be easier if I had an example to refute refute me.
Go watch 3 episodes of
Sakamoto.
Have You Heard I'm Sakamoto, and get back with me next week and we'll answer that question.
All right, so I have homework. Okay, so I'll watch on Sakamoto. Honestly,
Hey,
twist my arm. I meant to watch Sakamoto. I just never got around to it.
What's up,
Brony,
DJ?
I do have to say, what the crap did you do?
What do you mean, what did I do?
It's suddenly storming and raining outside my house. What the crap did you do?
I summoned the tornado alley. You better get in your basement.
It's not that kind of storm, but still.
We suddenly hear the doo of him leaving the call.
Yeah, no, right before that we start hearing sirens in the back. If I curse DJ to have a freaking tornado touchdown in his town this weekend, I'm just gonna perform seppuku. I obviously can't be trusted with any form of karma.
You're clearly an overpowered Mary Sue if that's the case.
Oh God, no. Mary Sues have some redeeming qualities to their characters. That's like the whole point of the Mary Sue is they have too many redeeming qualities to their characters. I don't have redeeming qualities.
Ronnie was the Mary Sue all along.
Okay, so Paladin Pony asks, can somebody be overpowered without powers? And this sort of reminds me, Heather and I got back into watching a show called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? And, that show is basically an exercise tutorial DVD with like very like hints of a story in it. It's like, okay, how can we find an excuse to turn this mundane plot into shoehorn an exercise video into this and teach you how to be fit. So we got back into watching that. I watched like 5 episodes a couple of years ago.
It's so wonderful.
And was like, this has no story. I can't watch it anymore. But now we're watching it again. There's a character
you missed the point.
Yeah, there was a character in there called Machio. He's the personal trainer. I freaking hate that guy. He is like
You're jealous. You're jealous of Machio.
I am extremely jealous, but that is not the point. His head is too small for his body. Why is his body constantly drawn with shading and his face is not? It doesn't look right. It looks like a bad Photoshop.
It's
so
funny.
anyway, yeah, never mind my jealousy of his fatigue. That is irrelevant. Yeah, there's that guy is overpowered, but with no powers. He just lifts weights. There's also the main character, Hibiki Sakura, who for some reason can punch super hard and can arm wrestle really good, even though she can't even bench the bar. Right? I don't understand how that works physically. I still don't understand it, but like, since the first time I saw that happen, she punched a heavy bag in a boxing gym and broke it off the chain. 5 minutes after not being able to do 10 squats. At a certain point, my suspension of disbelief gets broken. However, a couple of years later, Heather moved in with me. And I started, and she joined our workout group. And sometimes in our workout group, we do karate. We do sparring one day. The first time Heather connected a body shot on me while we were sparring, I actually felt it. Like it almost hurt. And I was like, shoot, she can't do a single good push-up, but that almost hurt. The other guys have tried to hurt me and not be able to hit me that hard. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Something
so
kinetic chain torque.
Yeah, so apparently it's a thing, but I still don't believe it on that level. So there's overpowered
All
with no
right.
powers too. Xander says Brawny's headbutts are overpowered. I'm not sure. I disagree. Brawny's got a strong head in universe, and he's used it as a
You
weapon
should
a couple of
weaponize
times.
it.
He has. He has
Yeah.
like people have punched Brawny in the head before, and it usually just hurts them more than it does anything to him. The worst, the hardest thing Brawny ever did with his head is in To Where and Back Again. Countess launched him with a slingshot at Chrysalis's throne, trying to break it, and he cracked the throne with his head. He got knocked out in the process, but he left a pretty sizable crack on it. Let's see. Harriman says Rick from Rick and Morty is a Mary Sue.
That's weird.
Kind of debatable, I guess. I mean, it's
I
rare
think-
for him to lose, but he's got his own fricked up issues.
Yeah,
No one
I mean,
really
he's
cares
more.
about these issues.
I mean, he's too. We're talking about the mad scientist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one part that keeps me from saying Mary Sue or Gary Sue. Is like he's a mad scientist, and he's an arrogant mad scientist.
Also, no one really likes him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he qualifies as Mary Sue.
Yeah. I think Rick has enough conflict in that show to not be a Mary Sue.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely cannot solve all of his problems immediately with his science abilities.
Neo Anton wants to know if Kim Possible is a Mary Sue.
I want to say no.
I want to say no too.
I mean, like, she basically deals with like high school cartoon stuff, and at the end of the day, she learns a lesson based on her missions, like any other Saturday night cartoon show does. You know?
Yeah, she doesn't count.
Alrighty
She's got her
then.
own conflicts, and she has to learn lessons. She has to deal with
Xander says, I don't think Cora is a Mary Sue, but she is horribly written.
I won't say horribly, but I think it's far from it.
I think with a few plot changes, and if Cora herself was a likable character, that Cora could have been good. Cora definitely really had the potential to be a really good show, and they just fumbled the execution, and they didn't have any likable characters outside of Tenzin.
You just related
by Ron Simmons. If I'm saying his name right.
What did you say, DJ?
You just relate to Tenzin.
Irrelevant.
It's the only reason.
It is
just
not
like
the only reason.
That's Brony with Tenzin. He's just like me.
Rusty Helm says, how much of a Mary Sue do we think Starlight Glimmer is?
Wait, what?
Not.
Now, no. Starlight Glimmer is definitely overpowered. It's kind of weird that she was able to keep up with Twilight. From what we understood of how alicorns work is that they're supposed to be extra powerful. So how does a unicorn run with an alicorn like that?
It's still Twilight.
Yeah. For Mary Sue, if you're asking is X character a Mary Sue, what you need to do is, if you're familiar with the character in the story, ask yourself, don't ask yourself how powerful are they. Ask yourself, what does this character want? And how easily can they and do they achieve it in the story? And what's stopping them? And if you can answer what they want, and you can answer what's stopping them from achieving it and why they can't get to it, or what they have to do to get it, then you've answered the question. It's not a Mary Sue. If the answer is, I don't know, I guess nothing is stopping them from getting whatever they want, that's probably a Mary Sue.
Vulpecula says High Guardian Spice is full of bad characters and Mary Sues.
I've heard many, many terrible things about High Guardian Spice.
Didn't you watch it? Didn't you watch it,
I watched video essays. I watched video essays delving into the first episode and how it was bad and could have been written better.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you said you were gonna watch it at some point in time. I don't know, but you never
I
did.
decided I don't hate myself that much, so I didn't.
In other words,
Alrighty
Crunchyroll,
then.
don't you ever make an original again?
High Guardian Spice is a form of self-harm. If you hear that I've watched that show, seek me out and find what's wrong.
Okay, I needed to ask, what is High
Okay.
Guardians? I never heard of this until now.
It was a Crunchyroll.
Save your brain cells.
Run now.
Don't
Before it's too late.
let this be
was
the
not
end of
paper.
your curiosity. Just you have never heard the name High Guardian Spice. Okay, live the rest of your life in peace.
I mean, if I can tolerate or even like the recent Star Wars movies, the Korra, or anything like that, I mean, I could probably handle it.
No. Different level.
No.
Ray is about level 2 of hell. We're talking about 8, maybe 9. Korra's about like maybe in the 1. Maybe. High Guardian Spice is a no-go.
Alrighty then. Did anybody else see any chat they wanted to address, or is there anything we want to talk about before I wrap this up?
I think I'm good.
There is one more thing about Chopper. You said earlier, like, if the character, when seeing a character, you said, what do they want? What if they what if they have everything, gain everything, transform to basically the perfect being, but he still is depressed in a way.
Okay.
Like,
so
how would
what is he missing? What is he depressed about, and what does he want? There clearly is something that he doesn't have if he's depressed.
I mean, like, at first he was a fat guy that people hated on. Then next day he basically transformed to basically every girl's ideal dream man. But he
Okay.
he lacked confidence and doesn't exactly take advantage of everything, even though he's handed everything on a silver platter. What do you call
Right.
that?
So he ostensibly has what most people consider are the things that somebody wants. Like he's I guess he has resources. He's rich, or he's well off.
He's rich.
Yeah, he's rich. He's handsome and attractive, but he comes from being unattractive. And this is a sudden shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be. Is this a specific show? Are you spitballing a premise, or is this a show you're talking about?
Yeah, show up talking about what do you call that? It's basically it's called I have a cheat skills, and this is me paraphrasing it. I gain cheat skills in another world, but bring it back to the real world. It's a recent series.
Okay, it's an anime under the convoluted title genre. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it sounds like, just based on what you said, it sounds like there is something missing that he wants that he can't get. Hence, he's depressed. Because despite being handsome and rich, he was bullied. He can't get it.
I mean, he was once bullied for his looks, his money, and all that stuff. He was fat.
Okay, so this might even be a man versus self story, where the problem is him. His external problems have been ostensibly solved, but he has internal problems. He lived as unattractive and bullied for so long that even though he has everything now, he doesn't feel like he deserves it. It sounds like even though he is handsome and attractive now, because it was so sudden, he didn't earn it, so that's probably leading to his depression. He still thinks he's that guy that had nothing. And that would be an internal man versus self struggle, which could be very interesting and well written.
Yeah. In the novel, it does that job, but in the anime, it's questionable. You probably have to see it for yourself when it's done.
Well, just from a premise basis, the way you brought it up, like, yeah, that could definitely be a not Mary Sue situation. See, this is why Mary Sue gets thrown around a lot. It gets thrown, and it usually is just synonymous with I don't like this character, I don't like this show. so people will just say Mary Sue because it's the most damning sounding insult they can. But a Mary Sue is something very specific, and something can be bad while also not qualifying for Mary Sue, as we talked about earlier. And like Mary Sue gets thrown around, but it's actually can be a very nuanced conversation, because you can't just point to one aspect and be like, character is this, therefore is a Mary Sue. Because a lot of these symptoms, as we call being overpowered a symptom of being a Mary Sue, a lot of these symptoms can be overcome by good writing, or more direct, can be overcome by finding the conflict. So if you want a character, guy who has everything, okay, where's the conflict? Show me where the conflict is, and I'll show you a character that's not a Mary Sue.
Would you say woke is an overthrown?
Yes. Oh my god, yes, it's overthrown. That's another thing of, I thought this was bad, so it's woke. There's Mary Sues everywhere. It's contrived, or something. Something subvert expectations. You know, like, yeah, people take these terms that are very real, often legitimate criticisms, don't understand what they are or what they're made to criticize, and just throw them around when they have a knee-jerk reaction to something they don't like.
Right.
I think the woke have culturally appropriated the term woke, because when I was a kid, the term woke meant you believed in conspiracy theories, and you were aware of the cabal of lizard people that secretly run the shadow government, right? That was woke when I
remember that. The etymology has definitely shifted drastically.
Yeah. I will not stand for this cultural appropriation.
Of crazy people.
Exactly.
Listen, the tinfoil hats, like that is the culture of woke, and you have appropriated their culture.
We're gonna see them out. We're gonna see the tinfoil hats out in the street fighting with Antifa over who gets to keep the word.
Well, the tinfoil hats have armor, so they'll win.
Yeah, that's true. And then it's gonna turn into a three-way battle with all the rightoids who want to use it as a slur against the leftoids. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like it. Brony, that sounds very centrist of you to say that.
Geez, it's almost like
you're becoming more like me.
It's almost well, I wouldn't say that. I'm still a right-leaning centrist, but yeah, I definitely see the problems there. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up there because I think we've had a pretty good conversation. Steven, did you get the most out of your topic suggestion?
Yeah. It was fun more than last time. At least last time, unlike this time, I actually got through to a full topic without losing connection or anything. So
Yeah,
that's a bonus.
no, that was great. So let's go around the table here and wrap this up. So Steven, final thoughts and one thing you learned tonight.
Well, final thoughts, like the fact that like Overpowered and Mary Sue do overlap, but there's a clear difference. It will be continuing to be debated, at least by us. But like the vision is clear. There's like if you wish to not make the character Mary Sue or Gary Sue, all that stuff, there's still, I learned that like I learned that you have to like give them a challenge, and I hope that in future franchises that have so-called Mary Sues, give them a challenge that people will at least will see. Okay, you got something. So
All right, DJ, closing thoughts and one thing you learned tonight.
Well, glad we settled that Overpowered and Mary Sue are different. They can be Overpowered can be a component of it, but it is not the same. Thing I learned. I don't think I learned anything tonight.
Cordero, closing thoughts and one thing you learned.
Closing thoughts. That thing that you love is actually a Mary Sue, and that thing that you think is a Mary Sue is not a Mary Sue. You're wrong.
All right, eloquent as always. I learned that Pora is not a Mary Sue, and I would my final thoughts would be that yeah, there is a pretty clear, well, just to echo what everybody else said, there is a pretty clear difference between Overpowered and Mary Sue, but there is some overlap. So with that, I'm gonna wrap this up for tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the show out there, and I hope to see you in about a half hour on Princess Heather Blossom's channel. We're gonna be hanging out and with the chat and anybody who wants to tune in while she just does some crocheting, which I think is, it's always fun. We get some good conversations going there. If you would like to get on the show and suggest a topic or the games that we play on Friday Night Fights, we'd love to have you. We'll just get you on the Patreon or subscribe star for as little as $1 a month. There's also a tip jar, or you can buy a T-shirt. And yeah, we're trying to get that up to $3,000 a month. We're very grateful to everybody, especially on the $10 and up tier, such as Cordero and DJ, who are with us tonight. There's also Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministry, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, Rein-Kun, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Kento, Acrylic VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Ridge the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, StarChaser, Venture Core, and Dark Malcontent, executive producer of the Titan Art Studios. So check out all their links in the description. They make some pretty good stuff too. And we will see you next Friday. Yep, we'll see you next Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. for gaming, and then again on Saturday for debates. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Get it?